And welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey. We've got some rumors. We're going to actually start, though, today with some news on the Dallas Cowboys. I'd say pretty darn importantly, the training camp update as things relate to Dallas. Now, Roger Goodell has told all 32 NFL teams training camps have to take place at their home facilities, which means, unlike most years, the Cowboys are not going to be going to Oxnard. Instead, they're going to stick around in Frisco at the Star, and that's where training camp will be held. Now, in almost every year ever, training camp's held in maybe mid to late July, and that should still be when camp occurs this year, but the Cowboys and the NFL have not yet announced the exact dates at this particular time. In years past, the Cowboys have often done joint practices, many times with the Rams. That's canceled this year. So there are no joint practices, just camp at their own facilities. And speaking of the facilities, the NFL has announced that teams are going to allow their coaches to report to facilities starting on Friday. Mike McCarthy, his staff, are going to be among the coaches that immediately get back in the facility as soon as possible. Up until this point, back when the NFL forced teams to close their doors, coaches were not allowed. It was just, ownership like Jerry Jones, some of the support staff. Coaches were not included. Players are still not welcome back in unless they are rehabbing, but this is the first step in getting everyone back for training camp here in the near future. Now, the other big part here for the Cowboys is some of these dates that are coming up. Now, again, starting June 5th, coaches can begin returning to those team facilities. Then July 15th, which might be around when training camp starts, just as a reminder, that is the deadline for franchise-tagged players to report. So just keep that in mind. And then mid-July, it's the typical start of NFL training camp. So we don't have the exact date yet, but we should get camp around that time for the Dallas Cowboys. And at least for now, the NFL Hall of Fame game is still on. Cowboys versus the Steelers. We'll see if that gets delayed or canceled or whatever, but for the time being, that is still the scheduled date. Now, Texas's governor today says that 50% capacity is going to be the plan for sporting events. We'll see if the NFL and the Cowboys enact that across the board or not. But if you're allowed to go to a game this season, will you do so? Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Now, our friends over at Fanatics have launched their new line of Stronger Together. It includes t-shirts. It includes this awesome hoodie, by the way. You can get it on sale right now at chatsports.com/CowboysStrong. We bring this up because all the proceeds from this go to COVID-19 relief. So you can check out what they have there. We put it on the community here on YouTube and on Facebook earlier today. Chatsports.com/CowboysStrong will take you into the shirts and hoodies that are available. And again, all the proceeds are going to go to COVID-19 relief. On now to Dak Prescott, and I'm sure many of you saw this. We posted it on our community, Facebook, on my Twitter as well. Dak commented after being silent about the George Floyd death and the protests and all of that. He made his comment on Instagram, pledged $1 million to improve police training and combat racism through education and advocacy. I was pretty happy that Dak made this comment. To be fully upfront and honest, I didn't know if Dak was going to say anything. After all, he is in the middle of a contract negotiation. I wasn't sure if he was just going to, fair or not, kind of toe company line and just remain quiet on the subject. I applaud Dak for doing this because he identified what is the root cause of the issues here, at least I believe, and perhaps I'm wrong, feel free to say so. The police brutality that was behind the Colin Kaepernick kneeling, all of that. And instead of just, pushing out a statement saying, hey, this is bad, I don't condone this, he's taking action as well. He's donating his own money. $1 million was like half of his salary last year. Yeah, of course, Dak's going to get paid here in a little bit. But I think Dak's doing a very good thing, and he's going beyond just raising awareness. He's actively going and trying to make change. So if you guys agree with me, and when I tweeted this out, you can see the full statement, by the way, on my Twitter, I was very happy to see most of the responses were, in a funny way, the T.O. gif of him crying saying, that's my quarterback. I agree with Dak Prescott. I think he's doing a good thing here, but of course I do want to hear from you guys too. Why for yes and for no? Let's move on now to Tyrone Crawford. Is he underrated? This one will be a little bit controversial. I'm actually going to give it 3 stars. Now, before you yell at me, I do believe a player can be both overpaid and he can be underrated. traded. I think that is the, although rare, situation Crawford finds himself in. He's not worth $9 million per year. But from the comments I've seen, not really so much from you, but from around the NFL, people think Crawford sucks. And I don't think that's fair nor accurate. Now, he missed most of last year with that injury, that hip injury. The Cowboys weren't as good with him off the field. They missed him in the run defense. They missed him doing the dirty work. He's a good leader. He makes the rest of the defensive line better. Tell you what, DeMarcus Lawrence, he missed Tyrone Crawford last year. Now, is he worth what he's paid? No, I don't believe so. That's why I'd love to see a pay cut. And even though the sacks aren't incredible, Crawford's that very valuable role player that you want to have on your team. And look, yeah, Robert Quinn was a great pass rusher, clearly better in that regard than Crawford, but you missed having Crawford out there, even if you could have had a Lawrence Crawford-Quinn rotation. So what do you guys think here? Cast your votes. Is Crawford O for overrated or U for underrated? I think most of you will say O for overrated. And I get that. I see a lot of you disagreeing with me. I totally get it. I see Josiah saying he's a team player and a leader, but definitely not worth his salary. I completely agree. He is overpaid, but I still think he's underrated. He's kind of gone into that category of he gets so much grief and people accusing him of not being very good. I think he actually ends up being underrated. But keep your votes coming. O for overrated and U for underrated. All right, let's talk trade now for Tyrone Crawford. This one was, I didn't like this one. Heavy put out a trade idea. Tyrone Crawford to Philadelphia for Rasul Douglas, a cornerback. And I saw the headline of like, ooh, Cowboys-Eagles traded. That could be fun. And then I clicked on it and I'm like, no, that's not. That doesn't, I think, make sense for either side, frankly. Now, Douglas might be the odd man out in Philadelphia after this season, or actually before this season, I should say. But he wouldn't start for the Cowboys. He's not better than Anthony Brown. He's not better than Jordan Lewis. He's not better than any of the top Cowboys corners. So at that point, why would you trade away a player who, in Crawford, who at minimum would be a key defensive rotation piece for cornerback 5 or 6? I don't get that for the Cowboys. I don't think it's a good trade. I think the Cowboys say no. In fact, I think Philadelphia might say no because I don't know if they want Crawford's contract at the moment. Now, for his career, here are Douglas' stats, and he is, by the way, coming off, frankly, a career worst season. 5 interceptions is nice. He's allowed 10 touchdowns and, averages a significant amount of yards per season. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And you can look at what the Cowboys' top corners are right now from those who played last year. Chidobe Awuzie, Jordan Lewis, Darryl Worley, Anthony Brown. They're better than Rasul Douglas. And that doesn't even include Trevon Diggs. You're not going to play Douglas over Diggs. You're not going to play Douglas over Awuzie, Brown, or Lewis. Probably not over Worley. So why would I trade Tyrone Crawford for CB6? I don't think it makes sense in the end for the Dallas Cowboys. So there's a chance for a fun idea. Maybe if you give me Avonte Maddox, we can have that discussion. But Crawford for Douglas, no, I don't think that's a good idea whatsoever for the Dallas Cowboys. Let's talk defense some more here for the Cowboys, a common theme here. Did the defense get better this season from where they were last year? Before I give my answer, I want to hear from you. B for better, W for worse. Compared to 2019, will the Cowboys defense be better or worse? I think it's a good discussion to have, and I think for a lot of you, if you type in B for better, it's not going to be because of the talent. You would argue because of the coaching staff. So keep them coming. B for better, W for worse. Now, the defense in 2019 relative to 2018 took a step back. They were worse. I have no doubts about that. But a new coaching staff should help you replace some very key pieces of that defense you lost, namely your number 1 corner by a wide margin in Byron Jones and your number 2 edge rusher by a wide margin, maybe even your 1B edge rusher in Robert Quinn. Those are 2 significant losses. Now, this comes to us from ESPN's Todd Archer, and he kind of went position group by position group, assigning worse or better. Defensive end, he listed it as worse. Totally agree. Defensive tackle, I agree, better. The additions of Gerald McCoy and Dontari Poe, they are upgrades over your previous starters of Malik Collins and Antoine Woods. Linebacker is the same. That makes sense. It's basically the exact same grouping. Come back to corner. Safety, he says better. I agree there. I don't agree that the cornerback room is better or is the same this year. Now, I think Archer's kind of arguing we might be able to get more turnovers, which is fair. We'll get to that in a second. But I don't know how you can look at the cornerback room and go, you're keeping Awuzie, Brown, Jordan Lewis. You've rotated in Diggs, Worley, and Robinson and going, yes, those 3 new players are better right now than Byron Jones. Doesn't make sense to me. I disagree with that. Now, the key part here is that the coaching staff is hopefully going to make this defense look better. The Mike Nolan defense is not going to be the Rod Marinelli / Chris Richard defense. It's going to be more multiple, and I think you're going to have a much greater emphasis on takeaways. So you're probably going to allow more yards, especially on the outside at corner. I don't think you're going to have a true lockdown guy like Byron. But you hopefully will have more takeaways. Those can be a little bit inconsistent over year to year, but the Cowboys consistently with Marinelli didn't force a lot of them. So the hope here for me is that better coaching helps overcome some of those key losses. If you want to use DVOA from where the Cowboys were last year, barely top 20. Can I get around 16th this year? Even with losing Quinn and Byron Jones, I do think that is a possibility for the Cowboys defense in 2020. One last note here, which we also mentioned, by the way, on Tuesday, now made official today on Thursday. The Cowboys have officially placed Travis Frederick on the retirement list. The timing of this move after June 1st allows the Cowboys to save $7 million in cap space this season. Across the lifetime of the years left on Frederick's deal, which was through 2023, you save the same amount of money. But waiting until after June 1st allows you to spread that dead money cap hit from Frederick out over 2 years, so you save a little bit less next year, but you save more this year, so it makes sense for the Cowboys. And just people have already asked me on Twitter, so I'll just emphasize it again. This has nothing to do with any move out there. This has nothing to do with Dak or Jamal Adams or anything. This is simply a expected salary cap bookkeeping move, totally expected by the Cowboys. Doesn't mean anything is coming in the near future for Dallas. Hey Cowboys fans, thanks for watching the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click right here to subscribe to our channel for all the best Cowboys coverage on the internet. That's news, rumors, highlights, mailbags, film studies, and a whole lot more. And I'm making your lives a little bit easier as well with the next Cowboys Report video right here.